I've been playing Fire Emblem Engage non-stop since it came out. This game's an unbelievably fun strategy game. In this video, we at Nintendo Everything have collected 10 of the most crucial mechanics and things you need to know about that the game doesn't quite clearly tell you. This guide is great for someone new to the game, but also has been tested with the game's hardest difficulty, maddening. Hopefully these tips will encourage you to try out harder difficulties, as this game gets much richer the harder it is and more limited your resources can be. The tips in this video are tailored to the first half of the game, up to chapter 10 and 11, using no DLC specifically. First off, I too didn't notice how Engage changed the series leveling system in my first run until it was far too late. I'm so programmed to keep my units to level 20 before promotion. What it means to promote a unit in Fire Emblem is when a unit reaches level 10 of any class, it gets the ability to promote with the use of one Master Seal. Its promotion class is based on its beginner class, and historically it is optimal to promote a class as late as possible, that being level 20, the max level, as to take advantage of as many level gains before the promotional bonus buffs your stats even further. Because of Engage's leveling system being based on the character and not the class, it's become a lot more flexible. Due to this, it's become more efficient to promote immediately upon reaching level 10. With the introduction of second seals, you can also cross-promote units into a class they weren't originally in. The shop on the Somniel starts selling master and second seals after chapter 8. You'll also get 2 Master Seals during Anna's Paralogue and Chapter 7 before beginning Chapter 10. Choosing which class you want to promote into is another discussion, but be sure to remember that each class comes with a unique skill that might help make your decision easier. Also, the nobles in Engage promote into special classes with unique class skills that can be especially busted. On the promotion screen, you can read a description of these skills before choosing a class to commit to, and usually these classes will learn these skills once they reach level 5. Because there's second seals in this game, the commitment isn't so great that you can't change later on what class a unit is in, unless it's maddening mode and you have no money. But one thing that I know is tough for new players is when to experiment with promotion paths. Obviously, when you get a new unit, you naturally want to promote it to its next class, like a sword user becoming a sword master. For some units though, their potential is actually uncovered by going off the beaten path to a totally different class. But how are you supposed to know what other class would work for a particular unit? Yeah, that brings us to number 2, growth rates. The infamously hidden stat of every Fire Emblem game. Engage lets you play with fixed growth rates for stats upon leveling that adhere strictly to a unit's hidden growth rates. This way you can't get a character ruined by bad level up RNG. Every unit in Fire Emblem has a distinct growth rate attached to each stat that determine the likelihood of getting a +1 in that stat upon leveling up. Now, unfortunately, you have to look these up to learn what they are. There's no in-game way to find this exact information. Luckily, there are plenty helpful sites and guides that have this information for you. And let's take Anna for instance. Anna has been getting a lot of buzz in the community because she joins your squad as an axe fighter. But she has a really high magic growth of 50%. The highest in the entire game, in fact. For this reason, many believe Anna's best class is actually a magic one to take advantage of that high magic growth rate. Promoting Anna to Sage might be an expensive but worthy investment because her individual 50% growth rate will be added to the Sage's already 30% magic growth rate, making it so 80% of the time Anna will receive a point in magic upon leveling up. The other actual child in this game, Jean, has a unique skill called Expertise that doubles the class growth rate when adding to his own, which is why he exists. He is your promotion experiment. You can promote him in almost any class and get a good growth rate because Expertise is built to buff your growth rate. Now, on lower difficulties, growth rates aren't important really. Don't take this as biblical, right? You can get away with just doing whatever you want with any unit. But unfortunately, some units have awful growth rates in the class you start them with. As with many Fire Emblem games, the Jagan, or strong old guy that you start the game with, gets outpaced quickly due to slow leveling and poor growth rates. Or, for a better example, let's talk about my buddy, Clan. He starts out as your first mage, but he only has a 10% growth rate in magic. These hidden numbers might help you decide who best to invest in and which class to do it in. But you want a well-balanced roster at the same time. An attribute that might help you decide on what class to have and what units to focus on is the unit type. There are 8 of these in the main game. Each of these unit types provides some kind of on-map benefit unique to the type. Cavalry units like Paladin and Wolf Knight benefit from bonus movement. Flying units are not hindered by terrain, but also cannot take advantage of terrain bonuses either. Mystical units ignore enemy terrain advantages, good for maintaining accuracy while enemies are on an avoid tile. Chi Adept classes can chain guard when at full health, protecting one ally from a first hit. The Covert class gain double the normal terrain bonus, which is why they often get used as dodge tanks. Placing thieves, for instance, in an avoid terrain tile makes them super hard to hit. Armored units won't be affected by break attacks, making them more resilient as tanks plugging some hole in your defense. And backup units can proc a chain attack support if they are within range of the targeted enemy. Lastly, Dragon, or Alir pretty much, gets most of its benefits from its engage skill bonuses. The Dragon class has incredible bonuses for every engage skill, like Marth's engage attack giving the Dragon unit an extra hit at the end of the Flurry Rush. It's worth checking in the Emblem menu what special unit type bonuses you get with each Emblem ring. While Dragon's bonuses are often the strongest, each unit type has some special bonuses with certain emblems. For example, Armor's bonus with Micaiah makes Grand Sacrifice not just a great healing spell for all your units at once, but also can raise defense for your units that are not injured. It's worth mixing and matching emblems with different unit types to see what bonus you get. As long as you have the bond fragments to level up your emblem's bond level to take advantage of these buffs, you'll be good to go. But you may be saying, all these class options are grayed out. I'm level 10, why can't I promote? What gives? Yeah, classes in Engage require a unit to gain a class proficiency in the required weapons before you can promote. You gain these proficiencies through raising your bond level with the emblem rings. You can gain bond points between a unit and an emblem by pairing them in battle, of course. Also, these emblems really enjoy the rings being polished. Another way to raise your bond level is to polish those babies to a mere sheen. The fastest way by far, though, is spending bond fragments in the emblem arena to immediately raise a unit's bond level with an emblem. You do not need to win these battles to gain the levels you pay for, while the regular arena, that rewards XP and SP, only gives you 3 attempts between missions. The Emblem Arena is infinite as long as you have bond fragments to spend. With every level, a new emblem effect is unlocked, some of which including these weapon proficiencies. These unlocks are what you'll need for promoting into a class where you're not already proficient in. For example, you receive Leaf in Chapter 8, and he gives you a proficiency for pretty much every weapon in the game outside of fists and magic. Maxing out a character's bond with Leaf will let you promote into most any class, but it's all about finding the emblem and the proficiency that will cost you the least amount of level ups to unlock that desired proficiency. In the Emblem Ring menu, if you press ZR, you can, at a glance, see every bond effect and associated level you receive them at. If you need a sword proficiency, while several emblems can give you that, for the first half of the game, Roy has the lowest requirement, being level 6, while level 8 for Marth, and so on. Attaining class proficiencies in Emblem Arena is an easy way to quickly experiment with classes instead of equipping a ring to a unit and using it a ton till it levels up, or playing a weird ring rubbing minigame, even though those won't cost you any bond fragments. Speaking of bond fragments, what are bond fragments and how do I get them? Bond fragments are a currency in Engage that you receive throughout your adventure. The first time you'd probably notice getting some is after a mission. These segments allow the player to walk around the map they just fought on, talk to their units, collect the various sparkles scattered about, or adopt animals. Oftentimes, those shiny things or conversations will reward bond fragments. By the way, don't worry about talking to every unit every time, as any bond fragments you didn't get from conversations will be automatically collected upon exiting the map. Once you return to the Somniel, the first thing you should do is check the notice board. There you can collect bond fragments for achievements you've unlocked, and they unlock constantly, so check this after every mission. This is how you'll likely get most of your fragments. There's also a lot of little activities you can do around the Somnail, like fishing, which you unlock after Diamant joins your crew, or from Little Sami. Sami's cave will likely have bond fragments just laying on the ground to pick up, and being nice to Sami will reward you with 100 bond fragments each. You'll need a good amount of bond fragments to raise those bond ranks in the arena, as I mentioned before. But the other big bond sponge is the ring chamber. In the ring chamber, you can summon bond rings, which is essentially a gacha mechanic. You spend 100 bond points per ring summon, and you'll get a random ring of a character ranked C to S from whatever game you chose to summon from. Playing this as intended can use up a bunch of bond fragments, and these rings are very helpful, so we should quickly get into what they do. Bond rings, when equipped, provide various stat boosts based on the character they are in. Obviously, these are for the units you aren't equipping emblem rings to. Each ring has various rarities. The higher rarity, the better the stat bonus. But a select 20 or so S rank rings also provide a unique skill to go on top of the stat bonus. Unsurprisingly, the community has found an exploit that can get you one of these rare rings without wasting all your bond fragments. I need to explain this to you because I performed it in my maddening run, and it was far easier than I thought. The ring I went for is by far the best in the game, Olwen's S-rank ring from Thracia 776. This ring allows the wearer's Thunder spell to double each turn. Thunder is one of the rare 3-range attacks in the game, and is a spell that normally can never double, no matter the speed of the unit. I'll explain doubling in a later segment, but for this example, you need to have Leaf unlocked to roll for this ring, which means waiting till Chapter 8 to do this exploit. So really quick, here's how you optimally farm for Olwen. Hey everybody, let's play Tom here. I think for this ring manipulation guide, I just want to take you step by step, from beginning to end, what the steps take to get you the bond ring you want. Now again, we're going for the Leaf Olwen ring. The S rank gives you that Dire Thunder ability that lets you double with Thunder. It's by far the best one. If you're going to roll for one, it's the one worth doing. Of course, if you don't want to, don't. But anyway, the first thing you do is Leaf you unlock after Chapter 8. That's when I'm doing this. So it's Chapter 8. I just beat it. And I'm going to go right into the ring chamber and just roll rings. Now, I'm going to roll 40 rings. That's kind of what I recommend. So you need 4,000 bond fragments to do this. As you can see, I do have that. I'm just going to check, see if I get it on my first try, right? Maybe I'm perfectly in line. The manipulation, I don't need to manipulate anything. And so that's what you want to do. You want to obviously save before this, right? Save before doing this, and just check if you're perfectly in that spot. And yeah, you go in, you see, and then I recommend taking a screenshot or something, letting you know what your 40 ring sequence looks like. Because what we're going to do is roll that sequence forward. And we want to know where we left off when we roll forward. We don't want to skip any, if that makes sense. So we know we're getting everything in line. We're not skipping any ring possibilities in that sequence. So once I've rolled 40, 4 sets of 10, that's when I know, okay, it wasn't on this run. I'll quit out. So you'll see that in a second. I think this is my 4th one. We're going to quit out here. And yeah, I don't get it. So go to systems, quit out. Again, you've saved before this. That's important. And then you want to end up on the world map. So that's where we're going to go next. So here we are. We'll go and enter chapter 9. We're going to begin the chapter, right? So we've moved the ring table forward around 31 enemies. So it's based on, for some reason, the enemies on the mission that you've selected. You need to select the mission you can back out of, because that's how the ring counter moves forward, is entering battles. So if I had just saved, quit out, and started again, there'd be no new rings. I have to enter a battle, but for most every battle, you can enter one and then quit immediately, right? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to skip all these cutscenes, and I'm going to just back out. I know that I've moved the ring counter over 30 bond ring placements, and that's why I try 4 sets at a time, 40. So I am never redoing too many or skipping any. That's why I recommend 40, because Chapter 9 is a good, obvious place to do this on, because it's the thing you unlock right after chapter 8 when you get Leaf. So you save, make sure you save after you've done that. So you roll your forward and you back out of the mission of the chapter and then save, because that's where you want to keep re-rolling. That's where you'll keep re-rolling. Now, I don't know how it works, but I usually get really lucky if I do the bond ring manipulation right after chapter 8. And so you'll see here, we moved it forward. We're now back in the Somniel, and we're going to be in the ring chamber again. And we're going to try this again. So here we are, back at the ring chamber. We're going to roll another 40, and we're going to see what happens, right? So we're just going to create 10 bond rings at a time. And we've now moved the counter table forward around 31. Now, if you see, I'm going to pause here. As you'll notice, it is, okay, I'm pretty sure it is 31 because 9 of these on this screen are repeats from the previous one we just rolled. So that last set of 10 we rolled before we quit out, 9 of these are repeats. But I don't want to miss, what if that 10th, right? What if that Marita B at the very end ended up being the one I wanted? So I'm not risking it. In this way, 9 of these are repeats. If you compare to the last one, it's very clear that it's all in sequence, and I'm starting up right where we left off with the last one here. So very unlikely you'll get it on the first one because there's only one chance for a new one. But you that's why we have 4,000 bond fragments, so we can run through the whole sequence and we'll never miss one in that sequence. Okay, so we didn't get it on the second one, but we got it right here on the third one. Olwen S, Dire Thunder. That's it. Like, that was it. Like, we did it on our second run through it, and we have Olwen S now. And that's like that changes the game. One of your units is immediately good till end game now because of this. That's how good this ring is. Doubling with Thunder, put it on a mage, and they'll be good for you forever. And that's how important that is. Now, what you can do now, because now you know the position that Olwen is, like I said, if you just save and quit and just immediately try again without advancing, nothing changes about the roll, the bond ring roll. So if you want to spend the least amount of bond fragments after you get the Olwen S ring or whatever ring you're looking for, you quit out again, right? We're going to quit out yet again. And now don't re-roll the map or anything, just go back to the ring chamber and spend exactly as many as you need to get the ring. And so you'll save some bond fragments that way. And you don't even have to do this step. But unless Olwen ends as the last of the 10 that you get, so if he's the 10th, when you make 10 in a row, he's the 10th one, you can save some money by just making up to him. It was on the third one that he showed up. So now I'm just going to create one at a time until I come back to Olwen. And you can see how consistent the RNG is. It will be exactly the same. And there he is, the 12th one. Olwen S ring. That's it. That's how you roll for bond rings and engage. And I hope that helps. And you take advantage of it if you're willing. Bond rings have another use. They allow the wearer to generate more SP from battles. SP is another important currency in Fire Emblem Engage. SP is a currency independent to each unit, spent to inherit skills from Emblem Ring. Inheriting the right skill can really buff a unit up, but they are expensive. Especially early on, your units have barely any SP and the game never really explains how to get more. Making sure every deployed unit has a ring equipped, whether it be Emblem or Bond, is tip 1 to generate more SP. SP is generated whenever a unit equipped with a ring engages in some kind of combat or pretty much anything that can provide experience. Emblem rings generate SP equal to the experience gained, while Bond rings generate SP half to the experience gained. Getting as much SP early on is really important, as you won't have access to the starting 6 emblems for a long time following Chapter 10. So any skills you want to inherit need to be done beforehand. You inevitably won't be able to get all the SP you could ever want, especially in Maddening, but here are some quick ways to grind XP and subsequently SP. First off, Micaiah's Great Sacrifice attack heals every unit on the battle, but reduces the user's HP to 1. Like many Fire Emblem games, healers gain experience from using spells like Heal. Well, Great Sacrifice is the equivalent of using like 10 staves at once, and so 10 times the experience, and most importantly, 10 times the SP. You can also do things like trapping foes to infinitely farm them without killing them or hurting you by healing every turn. The one I find the easiest is in Jean's Paralogue, also a great way to grind Anna for instance. giving her Micaiah's Emblem ring, and not only can she farm points with great sacrifice, but also gives her the ability to use staves. The intention is to infinitely heal a villager stuck in an endless dance with this lonely archer. Trap the archer with 3 other units so they can no longer move and only have a villager to target. Trap the villager and make him suffer. I use Jean's dad in this example. Use who you like. Each turn you can heal him up with Anna, or whoever, not only getting them the levels they need to promote, but grinding SP on them. New farming traps are found all the time for several missions. This is the one I've learned to use. Some early game skills to spend this SP on are often character dependent, but Sigurd's Canter ability is good for every unit in the entire game, as it allows for extra movement after an attack. You can also get SP from the arena, but only when the unit battling has a regular bond ring equipped. If your unit has an emblem ring equipped, it automatically gets unequipped when you fight in the arena, so be sure to swap a bond ring onto the unit you want to fight in the arena that time. Lastly, with the Wave 3 update, Engage introduced the Well mechanic. The Well unlocks after Chapter 7 when you talk to the Armory dude. Not only will unlocking the Well give you 2 really overpowered weapons for the early game, but by dropping other good weapons in the Well, you will be rewarded with a somewhat random set of goodies after your next battle. Of all the items you can get from the Well, the one that most concerns this part of the guide, and also just the best ones, are the book items. The book items are one-time use SP item. There are 3 types: the Novice, the Adept, and the Expert. Novice gives you 100 SP, Adept 500, and Expert 1000. 1000 SP is equivalent to 10 levels in the game, so it's really worth investing a lot to see if you can get these SP books. The randomness of the quality can be controlled slightly by raising the value of the weapons you drop in. The stars stand in for monetary value of the weapons. I'd say getting at least 3 stars of value in the early game will be enough. Whenever you get new recruits, they often come with redundant equipment that would be much more valuable as SP than anything else. You could also sell them, but another option is the Well. SP is limited, and the Well is the best way to get your units the most SP possible. However, by throwing your weapons in the Well, your problem will shift from SP to money. There are no gold bullions in this Fire Emblem. The only way you can gain money is from set cash influxes from the story, like in Chapter 5 or Chapter 8, or from selling weapons. Don't hold on to unused weapons for later. Weapons don't break in this game, so instead of having a bunch of unused weapons in your inventory, sell them or well them. You need money for a few major things in Engage: buying staves, the only limited use weapon in the game, the various master seals and second seals you need to promote your units, and refining/donations. I combine refining and donations because they work hand in hand. Refining is a crucial element of Engage's difficulty curve. If you aren't refining, the game is just harder. You unlock the refinery after Chapter 5. To refine weapons, you need iron, steel, silver, and money. That is where dogs come in. Yes, you can adopt pets and Engage when exploring the map post-battle. In these sequences, you want to prioritize adopting up to 5 dogs and setting them loose in your farm. Dogs will randomly find iron, steel, and silver after every battle, incredibly valuable to have all 5 slots as dogs throughout your run. You also can pick up iron, steel, and silver in these post-battle explorations as those shiny spots on the ground. The amount you receive from these spots depends on the region's donation level. Brodia gives the highest ore multipliers of any region, so I usually invest a lot of money in Brodia's donation level as early as possible. You can also use the exchange menu option, so you can exchange your ore one for the other, like an extra silver can be swapped for a ton of iron. When you have enough ore, you can refine your weapon. Steel weapons are often the optimal weapons to refine. They will keep up with endgame damage needs while being much lighter and cheaper to upgrade than rarer weapons like silver. Early game, I like to invest in refines for my steel sword and lance. I usually try to refine at least one steel sword into a 11 sword, as the 2 range magic damage is very helpful in the early game, getting you 11 sword several missions earlier than normal. And then you have engraving, the second option at the refinery, and engravings are special buffs given to you from your emblems that can only be placed at one weapon at a time. It costs bond fragments to engrave a weapon, but these bonuses are low cost and often fantastic. Be sure, again, to engrave any weapons you want to prior to Chapter 10, as you won't have access to those emblems engravings till much later. last tip I have today actually has to do with on-field strategy. How to do more damage. Lots of little secret numbers are happening in the background. Manipulating them in your favor is a must to optimize your damage output. First of all, the support rank you've been gaining amongst your units will give special stat bonuses to units when placed adjacent to them. You also gain support when you place units adjacent to one another, but also from the 4 support activities in the Somniel. Whether you're eating a meal, working at the orchard, working at the farm, or swimming pool, you will gain support ranks with your chosen units. Also, giving gifts like the stones picked up throughout Somniel can help boost support as well. It's always good to invest in support ranks when you can, as you'll take advantage of those bonuses on the field. Alir has a special skill called Divinely Inspiring that grants 3 bonus damage to any adjacent unit. This can also be an incredibly helpful bonus that I take advantage of often. Don't forget status effects, which can weaken an enemy's defense, namely Poison and Break. Poison is an ailment dagger and knife weapons inflict on an enemy when hit. Break occurs when you hit a non-armored enemy with the effective weapon from the weapon triangle. Swords beat axes, axes beat lance, lance beats swords, and fists beat dagger, bow, and tome. Poison and Break lower the enemy's defense, and the next attack will do more than it would have prior. Setting up a Break or Poison on a tough enemy first will allow the rest of your units to do more damage. And the most important damage buff you can have in this game is optimizing your characters so they can attack twice in one round. Doubling is based on relative attack speed. You can check this stat on the screen before you go into combat, and when your attack speed is 5 greater than the enemy's, you will hit twice. Your attack speed is a complicated combination of your unit's speed stat, build stat, and weapon weight. Refining can help lower weapon weight, and so refined weapons are more likely to hit twice. That is the 10 main tips I have for Fire Emblem Engage. Obviously this video is tailored to the early game without DLC or online modes, so there are more things to learn. As the final wave of the expansion pass is releasing, let me know if a video like this concerning the DLC's many add-ons and new content is something you'd want. Hopefully this was helpful, and for more guides, reviews, news, and everything Nintendo, subscribe to Nintendo Everything.